Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Reach Your Happy with Laura. I am Laura, and today I want to talk about the most important relationship, which is your relationship with yourself. Why is your relationship with yourself the most important relationship? Well, people are finicky. People change all the time. People have moods and attitudes that are always shifting. So if you're relying on people to always hold space for you in the way that you need, you're going to be let down. Your expectations are going to be not served, squashed. I'm not really sure how to put that, but they're not going to be met. So I wouldn't say how do we solve this problem, but how do we minimize the problem? Be your own best friend. I was working out with my best friend the other day, and she was talking to herself, and she's like, "You're so weak," to herself, okay? "You're so weak, you can't even lift this." And then she lifted it, and she was like, "See, I told you, you can lift." And she was just kind of like hyping herself up with negative self-talk. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. I was like, when I talk to myself, I'm like, "You're the strongest bitch ever, come on," and I'm like, I got this, there's no way I don't got this. And she's like, "Really?" So it's so interesting to hear our inner dialogue be presented outwardly. She's like, I think the negative self-talk helps me, but maybe it doesn't. And so understanding that your relationship with yourself is the longest relationship you've ever had and ever will have, and is the person you spend the most time with. So it is of the utmost importance that you have a better relationship with yourself. I have spent a long time not being good to myself. And I will tell you, it left me with a lot of experience, but also I gained experience, but that's about it. It diminished my sense of self-worth. It diminished my relationships across the board. It impacted how I showed up in the world, how I felt at events or at work. It affected everything. And the same is true if you are kind to yourself. It affects everything. I've had a recent shift where I am just over being nasty to myself. I want to be kinder. I want to be more loving. I want to honor that I'm in a part of my process that is going to change. And so I'm not going to get hung up on where I am, because it's not the end point anyway. There's always more unfolding. And I will tell you, the people in my life, everyone has responded to me differently. When I started valuing myself and loving myself, everyone responded differently. Was it because I convinced them to? No, it's because I demanded more for myself from myself. And so I was emanating this vibration of love and acceptance and deserving goodness. And everyone in my life is reflecting that back to me. And therefore, the whole vibration of my community is rising because I am holding this more loving space for myself, and everyone wants to feel more love. So people rise up with you. It's such a beautiful thing, but so often we're relying on our partner or our friend or our child to make us feel some sense of good enoughness, of worthiness. That's the word. But people change. My husband gets in bad moods. And if I'm relying on him to always boost me up and make me feel good enough, well, what happens if he croaks? What happens if he leaves me? Then my worth is just gone? And also how disempowering it is to put my worth in someone else's lap. How disempowering it is to wait for a compliment from somebody else. No, compliment yourself. Why? Because it is the most satisfying person to receive love from. It's the purest. People are like, yeah, you haven't had kids. Okay, I get that. Okay, but even kids will turn around and bite you. Will turn around and tell you the worst person in the world, and that hurts, I'm sure. But you you can always make the choice to be on your side, to hope for the best, to be as loving as you can. And that doesn't mean like all positivity. I don't believe positivity is the best option. I think being loving is the most option. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say, girlfriend, put the glass of wine down. Girlfriend, put that down. Put it down, right? So sometimes being loving means doing something that takes discipline. That's challenging. And what would be possible for you if you were more loving to yourself? Like, what would be the immediate shift? Think about it for just a moment. Like, what would it be if fill in the blank. If I started being more loving to myself today, what would that feel like? The first thing that pops in my mind is relief. I would feel relieved if I just decided that I am good enough, and whatever I create, whatever I do in a session, whatever I do in a day, however my body looks, how my hair looks, my face looks, how I am to my husband, that's enough. Because that's what I got today. And I have so much compassion for other people that are sick, people that are having an emotionally challenging time. I have so much love and compassion for them. Are they being their best selves? Are they like glowing and spewing love and joy? No, but I have so much love for them. So why not me? What makes me different? Nothing. Absolutely nothing makes me different. I just haven't practiced it. So what happens when you're more loving to yourself is that you start to feel this deep connection with yourself, which means you feel more intuitive, you feel more guided, you feel confident and empowered, you feel clear, you feel honest, you feel generous, you feel excited, you feel joyful, but also neutral. You feel balanced. It's a beautiful place to be. And the thing is, there's no end to the level of satisfaction you can feel when you're good to yourself, when you are your own best friend. There's no end. There's just more and more and more. I had an anxious thought this morning, and I immediately caught it. And I was like, oh, anxious thought. Well, I would rather not spend the rest of my day in this thought realm and this anxiety. I got a lot of sessions, a lot of people I want to be present and clear for, and I don't want to deal with the heaviness of this anxiety. Not to say we can just say, poof, anxiety, but I just decided in that moment that I was going to do something that would bring me some relief, that would make me just feel a little bit better. I'm like, I don't want to sit here and chew on this right now. I'm like, all right, what then? And it was like, shower. I'm like, shower. Okay. I'm like, do I put on music? Do I put on a YouTube? I was like, girl, just get in the shower. Put it down, did my hair, did my makeup, got ready, completely forgot about, like, I can't even recall what I was anxious about in the first place. So I was just like so loving, so kind to myself that I'm not discarding that anxiety, but anxiety to me is so useless. It has yet to prove any benefit to me in my life. If anything, it just makes me overthink and fearful, and I don't think fearful thoughts are helpful. I think intuitive thoughts, I think like, oh, that came out of nowhere. Thoughts are helpful. So me and my husband were doing jujitsu, which is a form of grappling, and you're all close and what have you, and I had gotten one technique down, and so we were picking up the pace a little bit, and I was in this position and I looked down and his knee was right there, and I thought to myself, his knee is awfully close to my eye right now. And then within like 1, 2, knee to the eye right there. So yeah, it was very interesting. And I told him after, I was like, yeah, that thought kind of just popped in my mind, and I was like, interesting. I don't know why I noticed that. And then 10 seconds, not even 2 seconds, 2 claps later, and your knee was in my eye socket. And he was like, why didn't you say something? I'm like, because it was such a fast thing. I received it so quickly, and then it happened almost immediately. And I almost said something about your knee, but then I thought about it and was like, Why would you say something about his knee? I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm new to jujitsu. So, and he was like, next time, please say something, because you clearly receive guidance and you just need to listen to it. You need to like speak up about it. And I was telling him, though I do this all the time, I'm still learning to trust that. So anxiety doesn't feel that way. Anxiety doesn't just kind of come through as this like knowing of like, his knee is very close to my eyeball right now. You know, anxiety would be like, I hope his knee doesn't hit me in the eye, right? That would be different. And I've definitely acted that way and said things that were out of anxiety, and I didn't like how it felt. I didn't like the interaction. So for a moment, I guess I interpreted that as, oh, I think it's just my anxiety chiming in. It wasn't. It was my intuition. And I do this for a living, this intuitive stuff. So I say this because, you know, you may be struggling with listening to that intuition. It's okay. Practicing in little ways, like again, with me and my anxiety, I'm like, okay, I'm anxious. I don't want to hang out here all day. I got a lot to do. And I'm like, what would feel best? I just ask, what would feel best right now? Shower. You know, sometimes what feels best is having a conversation with someone that you don't really want to have a conversation about, but at the same time you do, because you feel like there's going to be some resolution through speaking your truth. So, my friends, I hope this message finds you well and that it is helpful to some degree to remind you that the most important relationship is your relationship with you. And you can start from wherever you are. Just ask. You know, I put myself in my little kids in my live shoes. I think, okay, would I pack a hoodie for them if they were going on a walk? Yeah, I would. Would I for me? I don't really want to. I don't want to care, but I would for them. Let me do it for me. So like if you have someone in your life you love so deeply, that's a good point of reference. Like, would I do that for them? Like right now, I've been talking all day since 10 o'clock. My throat is like, I need a break. I need water. My water is right there. And I'm like, if someone I loved was like, oh, I'm so thirsty, I'd be like, go get your water. Go get it. So I'm going to go do that because that's the most loving thing I can do for me. So thank you so much for tuning in. I have, if you're listening to this on October 24th, 2022, or October 25th, 2022, I have 20% off sessions through the 25th. So if you like 20% off a session, a gift certificate, or a package, you can look in the description of this video below and you can apply it to my website, reachyourhappy.com. Thank you for tuning in. I love you. I appreciate you. Please try to be loving to yourself because you matter more than anyone in your whole world. You matter so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.